Hey, Wire Monkeys. This week we're catching up with Teknowledge Worldwide. What have they been up to? And what are they up to next year? Welcome to the show where we tackle the tough questions submitted by installers, project managers, estimators, technicians, ICT personnel, even customers. We are connecting at the human level so that we can connect the world. If you're watching this show on YouTube, would you mind hitting the bell button and the subscribe button so you'll be notified when new content is being produced? If you're watching us on one of the audio podcast platforms like Stitcher or Apple or one of those others, would you mind leaving us a 5-star rating? Those simple little steps help us take on the algorithm so we can educate, encourage, and enrich the lives of people of the ICT industry. Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. What are you doing? You know I do a live stream, right? On LinkedIn, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook, where you get to ask your favorite RCDD, and you know who that is. Don't pretend like it's not. Your favorite questions on installation, certification, design, project management, estimation, even career path questions. But I can hear you now. But Chuck, I'm driving my truck home at 6 p.m. on Thursday. I don't want to get into it. Relax. They're recorded. And you can catch them on letstalkcabling.com. And finally, while this show is free and will always remain free, if you find value in this content, would you mind clicking on that QR code right there? You can buy me a cup of coffee. You can even schedule a 15-minute one-on-one call with me, after hours, of course. And you can also support the show by going to our Amazon link page on our webpage. We're also looking for sponsorship, corporate sponsorship. So if your company values align with educate, encourage, and enrich, hit us up on social media. Just remember, we are an agnostic platform. So as I said in the intro, I keep a close eye on all the low voltage organizations in our industry. And one of the ones that I haven't caught up with yet, because they've been super, super busy, is Ray Cline and his peers who made Teknowledge Worldwide. So welcome back to the show, Ray. How are you doing, my friend?
You know, Chuck, I just wish I was doing as good as you, buddy. I mean, I'm doing all right. Can't complain. That intro, man, that was pretty good. You got a lot of stuff going on too. So it's pretty cool to see, man.
Yeah, when you do 700 videos, it sticks in your head after a while.
Is that how many you're on? 700 videos at this
Yeah, I
point?
just
Wow.
got the notification from YouTube that I have 800 videos on YouTube. But
Whew.
remember, a lot of those are YouTube shorts.
It's fair.
So when you look at the audio, I want to say I'm coming in on 200 episodes. I'm like at
That's great,
170,
man.
180, something like that.
That's awesome. Congratulations. I wish I wish we could be as dedicated and get as much content out as you do, but it's insanity, man. I mean, I
It's
don't have to tell you.
it's a hamster wheel. It's a full-time job. People don't understand. As a matter of fact, I don't know if you noticed, we're recording this Thanksgiving, no, the week after Thanksgiving. I
Yep.
don't know if you noticed, but there was a definite slowdown on my post last week because the only thing that went up was the stuff that I schedule ahead of time and pose it. I did
Yep.
very little stuff because my wife and I were camping. It's kind of hard to do, social media and TikTok videos when you're in a camper out in the woods.
No, you're right. I mean, I find it tough even to do it from my phone. When I'm trying to post on all the other platforms, it's tough, but
Yep.
it's a full-time job. You are right.
It is.
You are right.
Absolutely it is. Now, I've gained a few followers since the last time you've been on the show. So why don't you tell us who is Ray Cline and how did you get into low voltage?
I was swindled. I feel like that's the way to put it. I was swindled. At a young, ripe age of 6 years old, I realized that I was more technically inclined with computers and wires than I was with anything else, really. But joking aside, I just had a natural knack for it, and I fell into it because I loved it. No matter what I did, I always kept drifting back towards technology and consulting. So that's what I did. But for your listeners that don't know me, I'm Ray Cline. I'm the owner of Libertas Consulting, a Philadelphia-based consulting technology company. And I am also president and co-founder of Teknowledge Worldwide, right here on the shirt, a nonprofit organization that brings technology to those in need. Really, is at the end of the day, that's our mission. We're technology installers from around the country. Doesn't matter what vertical of technology, and whether you're low voltage, whether you are a consultant, whether you're an MSP, whether you're an alarm integrator, access control cameras, it doesn't matter. if you write code, it doesn't matter. As long as you are in the technology, we want you in our community. And each year we do great projects together. And Chuck, you came to our latest project where
We'll get there.
we
We'll get there.
gave,
Hold on. Hold on.
we'll get there, but
Don't get ahead of the questions
I'm not
now.
going to get ahead of it. No, but I mean, that ties to what it is,
Right.
our mission is at least one time a year, we do a great project together, and we were fortunate enough to have you. So thank you for that.
Not a problem. I love going to those kinds of things. As a matter of fact, any group that is trying to make low voltage better, as long as it's a legitimate, effort. If I'm available, ask me. If I'm available, I'll show up. I just got back from Texas. I was down there for the PoE Consortium because they're trying to make the power over Ethernet industry better. So I'm all about making this industry better. I truly am. I love giving back to the industry that's provided, obviously, for me and my family as much. But so Teknowledge Worldwide. So one of the things I do like about your organization, like your nonprofit community group. I shouldn't say your organization because technically it's a nonprofit. But the thing I like about it is, like you just mentioned, it's you have people from all different facets. And people tell me all the time, what do you do, Chuck? And I tell them I'm in communications. Well, they're like saying you're in the automotive industry. Do you design cars for the manufacturers, or are you the guy changing the oil at Jiffy Lube? Because both those people are in the automotive industry, right?
Correct.
Communications the same way, and the TKW community reflects that. You got people like Mick who are just access control gurus. You got people like Pierce with all green lights just out there rocking out the structured cable side of it. And so you guys have a true cross representation. It's not just one facet. And I like that part of the organization. So tell us a little bit more about the missions of TKW and the communities that you serve.
Yeah, so we're all over the country, right? At the end of the day, we try to do good work anywhere we can. Um, this year with that project, we were able to give a community wireless access control, a full network. We were able to give them, a Sonos music system, so they have music throughout their entire campus. So you've got AV in that. We gave them new computers, so with that you've got the MSP side, so antivirus, operating system, all that good stuff. So it's just being able to bring together all of these facets of technology and just throw them all in a room together and say, hey, we're going to build this really cool thing in a short period of time. Let's just do it. And we do. So it's really exciting.
So I know two of the events that you guys did this year, and you were just describing one. Let's start off with the one before that, TechFest. Before we talk about TechFest, was there any ones that you guys conducted that I wasn't aware of?
No. So, again, TKW is 2 years old, actually 2 years old very recently. 2 years old as a community and about 1 year as a registered nonprofit. So our first event, which we did in the end of April, was called TechFest. Okay. We try to brand everything with tech something. So it confuses all of us at the end of the day. But TechFest is our trade show. And that was the brainchild of something that happened at Thanksgiving the year previous. A lot of the people that were on site at Thanksgiving the year previous were all huddled around Mick. And you remember Mick. Mick was wiring up a panel, and everybody kind of stopped what they were doing to watch him wire this panel up. And it became this instructional teaching moment. And we're like, why don't we do our own, festival, TechFest, trade show, so to speak, with our vendors that are so key and important to our community, and then also have some training classes while on site with all of these people. So TechFest happened in April at Cable and Connections location down in South Carolina, and they were amazing to us. They gave us their entire facility. We did it outdoors, which was pretty cool because the weather was great. And we were able to get 25 of our vendors to come out, showcase their product, and allow the people in our community to actually have one-on-one conversations with those vendors and say, we'll take Vertical Cable, for example. Vertical Cable was able to get improvements to the tools that they make because they were asking people that use that tool every day, like, what do you want in this tool? What do you want in a patch panel? Same thing for Trend and NetAlly and Eaton and all those guys that came. We were able to give them feedback on the things that we need to do our jobs better. And they were able to showcase to us their products that they're coming out with. And Simply 45 was there, and they showed us, which you probably saw their original pack out kit, which has all their tools, which turned into the Simply 45 connectors, which now turned into, I'm sure you saw, like they worked with us to build the first Teknowledge Worldwide toolbox, which has tools from 6 of our different partners. So it's just like the things that festival did for the community and for its partners is something that isn't done anywhere. And this whole mindset of community over competition is real, right? It's real and it's proven. I mean, in what world other than in Teknowledge Worldwide does a Cable and Connections partner with Vertical Cable, who partners with Simply 45, who partners with DoorJam, who partners with Trend Networks to build one toolkit and give it out to all of our members? Like, in what world does that happen? And that is just proof that we're changing the mindset of an industry, and it's critical.
There were several things about that event that I loved, and one of them was the goodie table. Right? You had a table there that
stuff.
Yeah, and so what, for those who don't know what that means, is there was a table dedicated. So, for example, when I showed up, I brought a bunch of podcast stickers. So I just put the podcast stickers on the table. Anybody walking by can grab podcast stickers. There was people who left, company hats, shirts. TKW had a bunch of stuff there as well. And we'll talk about the other event here in a minute. My brother, when he saw that table, was like, "Oh, these are free." I'm like, "Yeah, but don't be as stupid about it, right? Don't take the whole entire table." But yeah, I mean, that's what it's there for. I love that because it just kind of helps, again, reinforce that, this is a small community. People think it's a big industry, but we're not. We're really a small industry. Truly are a small industry. And so, you start off with that, competition, community over competition for the installers. But I think some of that migrated into the vendors showing up. Do you feel the same way?
I do. And that was what we were always hoping for. Like, Vertical Cable and Simply 45 do make some very similar products, and they make some very good tools. But day in and day out what your favorite pair of snips is. What's your favorite, punch down tool? What is your favorite, a 45 connector? Like, we took those tools, the ones that are our favorites, the ones that we all recommend and use, and we put it in the same toolkit. And I'm just so proud of it. I'm so proud of not what we're building, what our partners and our community is building together. It's really cool. It's incredible. I mean, I can't even speak enough good about it. I mean, I could, but your listeners don't want to hear it. So,
sure. Well, they're going to hear about it anyway. That's the way it is. But I think my favorite thing about that event was, actually, that was the first time that I taught the firestopping class publicly. That's recognized at the CEC, but that's not my favorite part of the event, though. My favorite
was a lot of guys' favorite, though. Just so you understand that, like, we want you to come back down to the next one and do it.
I still catch a lot of that in the Slack channel.
Yeah,
I'll still see that. Actually, that's one of the things I'm doing this one on my vacation this month is I'm going to record that and put it on Teachables, so that way it's more accessible. I just haven't had the time, so now that I got a bunch of vacation time, I'm trying to go through. But my favorite thing about TechFest was the rack building competition. How did that come about? And tell me about the workings of that.
So we wanted to have something fun, right? And we wanted to also showcase what the power of community is. There was, 25 people maybe involved in that competition. You take 25 guys, some of which have never worked together on a project before, and you say, here are all of the parts. You guys build the rack the way that we all believe is the right way to build the rack, and you get an hour. So it was a rack, it was a shelf, it was a patch panel, it was patch cords, it was a switch, it was a router, it was an AP, and you helped actually build the frame that they built it on.
Oh no! Don't give me too much credit. All I helped do was you guys had built the wooden stand frame that they had to mount anything to. I just helped paint it. That's all I did.
It helps.
I didn't do anything, but because they got that was already sitting here, and that was supposed to act like the wall they were supposed to mount the racks to.
So, you got an hour to build the rack, and Chuck, you saw it. Like, in an hour, those guys built a completely, vertical rack, and then another team built, just a open rack. So it was two different even types of racks, and the teams just went to town. And the thing that was really cool is that you were there to make sure that the wiring was done right. Mm-hmm. And Trend was there to make sure that the wire is certified. So part of the scoring was it had to certify and had to be right. And it was just in an hour to watch these guys scramble and build the rack was just it. I always say to people, it was like, for me, I don't have children, but I imagine it was like watching your children take its first steps, right? Like TKW went from crawling to running in one step. And it was really cool to watch. And
Yeah,
um,
actually, there was a bunch of people taking pictures of that event, and I took some as well. I think I still actually have them on my phone, actually.
yep,
But what I ended up doing was I actually ended up live streaming it on TikTok. And
yep.
at one point, I had like 800 people watching it.
Yeah, it
And
was fun.
they were like, "Hey, what's he doing? Why is he doing it that way?" I'm like, "Guys, I don't have time to explain this. Just watch."
Yep.
you know.
Yep.
Uh,
And that was a lot of fun. And we're coming up with new ideas for the next Tech Fest that we plan on having in the, in the spring again.
right.
And, I don't know how we're going to top that rack building competition, but we'll come up with something.
We'll come up with
It'll be
something.
fun.
Fire stopping competition.
Ooh,
Anyways.
there we go. Oh, ooh.
So that was one of the events. The other event was Tech Giving. Text Giving.
Yep.
Is
Yep.
an S in there?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
Thanksgiving. No, you're
Text
correct.
Giving.
Yep.
So how did that? I know there's a previous show with Mick explaining how it how Mission Fit was chosen and stuff. But maybe can you address the background on why you do text giving and how that came about?
Yeah. So Thanksgiving itself, I mean, the name in and of itself, you can tell we do it around Thanksgiving, right? So it was one of our techs, Kevin, actually came up with the name Thanksgiving. And he's like, because it's right in between Canadian Thanksgiving and American Thanksgiving. So it always falls between those two. And we're going to do that every year is the plan. So, the thought behind Thanksgiving is our mission is literally to give back to a community in need. And this year it was Mission Fit. And that is where we get together once a year and we give a community that is doing great things in their community a gift of technology. So, this year it was a little bit on the smaller side from what we did before, but it was perfect for what we were trying to do. It was I believe it was like a $50,000 donation. It was almost $60,000. We're still finishing up all the accounting of, product and services and technology that went to this community. It was all donated by members and partners of the community. So Mission Fit got this gift of technology at absolutely no cost to them, and they'll have that for years to come. So they're now going to be able to use the gift that our community gave them to grow their community and give back to their community that honestly, their mission is so in line with our mission. It was perfect. And I'm so appreciative for Mick for finding that organization and bringing it to us so that we could give Baltimore, Maryland just this incredible gift of technology.
Go Orioles. Anyways, I am originally from Baltimore. So I'm not Baltimore. I'm originally from PG County, but close
Okay.
enough. Close enough,
Hey,
right?
it's all good.
Yeah, and just to kind of show that the type of organization that you built, and I know you didn't mention it's not you just might have just been being humble, which probably were knowing you, but one of the techs who was attending the event was in an accident on the way to the event. They were coming, I think, from Canada, I think, or a
Yep.
good distance, and
Yep.
somewhere in between they got in an accident. I don't remember if it's their fault or somebody else's fault. So obviously, your truck, your tools, halfway, and your community stepped up. Why don't you tell us
Yep.
a little bit about that?
Yeah. So that was Kevin, actually from Canada. And he posted in the Slack community. He's like, hey, got into this accident. He was in Pennsylvania, about an hour outside of where I live. And Rob said, hey, man, listen, here's where you can get a rental car. I already booked it for you. Here's where you're going to go. You're going to drive here. We're going to fly you home. We'll take care of everything. We got him to the site, got him to the job, got him all the tools that he needed to do the work. Got him home, got him on a flight home. And, he was still able to come and participate and help. One, because it was still really important to him. And two, because the community gave back. Again, it's just like, hey man, we want you here. Here's how we're going to make it happen. Go get this rental car. Go here, pick it up. Get in this Uber. That's where you're going to go. And it just works. I mean, that's what this community is.
And for those who may not know this, I know because I travel air all the time for work. Buying a last minute airline ticket ain't cheap. It
Yep.
is not cheap. The
Yep.
closer you get to buying to the departure time, the higher that price goes. So yeah, I mean that just goes to show that you guys, you're not just saying you have a community. You stepped up and showed you have a community, and I absolutely love that part of it. So what challenges did you guys have this year, and how did you overcome them?
Oh God, so many. We're having a lot of growing pains, like any other community, any other organization would have. Is we're growing at such a rapid pace, and we want to keep doing all of these things. We needed help, right? So now we have what we call the TACs, right? They're our technical advisory committee. They're helping us make decisions and make policies and make sure that we're doing the right things for the community. Always making sure that we're making the mission the mission. So while that is not a challenge, to have these wonderful individuals help us, it's a challenge to grow through these growing points, right? Because when you've got 500 people in a community, you've got so many different opinions on how they want to do things. And the thing that is the most important to the original founders of the community is this community is free. Like there is no cost to be in this community. The only thing that we've ever asked people is when we do these projects, it's all hands on deck, right? We can't do these amazing things that we do without the support of the people in our community. And whether that's a financial donation or whether that is literally getting on a plane and flying to Baltimore to do the work, all of that counts, right? So there are challenges. It's we're growing and we need help to grow the right way because that's important. I mean, we don't care if we have 500 members or 500,000 members. All we care about is the mission. And we've made it very clear that we can put 30, 35 people on a project and it can be incredibly successful. We've made it clear last year that you can put 50, 60 people on a project and it can be incredibly successful. It's all about getting the right resources in the right places and doing the right thing. The most important thing is doing what you say you're going to do. And I feel we do that better than anybody. Like we say we're going to do something, TechFest, Techsgiving, we do it. We don't make excuses. We find a way to make it happen. But I think those are our challenges. It's hard to make things happen, especially in a really down economy. We're still feeling the effects of the
Yep.
pandemic.
Yeah, we are. We absolutely are.
Yep.
Absolutely are. So let me ask you this: has Mission Fit given you any feedback on whether or not the technology is helping them?
Yeah. So I mean, we're only about we're probably about 2 months out from doing that project, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But we can tell that it's working, right? Because we gave them a bunch of podcasting equipment. We gave them, a portable camera. Like they're putting out a ton of content now. They were putting out content before, but now you can see that their content's in 4K. You can tell that it's a little bit more polished.
Mm.
I've not talked to Wes about, has their membership numbers improved or anything else like that. But I know just from talking to Wes, because we went down a couple weeks ago, just as a follow up, we wanted to go down. For me, Baltimore's 2 hours. We wanted to go down there, tidy a couple things up that we couldn't do, and he's just like the music alone, having the speakers in the ceiling as opposed to the Bluetooth speakers that they had. He goes, that to me is you guys could have done a million other things, but that's the most important thing to me. So, and Mick and Rob designed this really cool squat rack where it's a live feed, so you can watch yourself doing squats and it's recorded. So you can actually send the footage of what you're doing to a trainer and they can
Oh,
analyze it
cool.
and say, hey man, maybe you need to bend a little bit further back. So that was something custom that we did for them that nobody else has, right? Because we built it. It didn't exist. So
I
it's,
missed that. I missed that part of it. I mean, I saw the speakers,
yep.
and I saw the voice and the data cabling, and I saw Mick working on the front door access control. Right,
Yeah.
and that was a tough one. That door was kind of, it was like a fortress. I
Yeah.
much respect to people who do access control. I am. There's a reason I don't do access control, and I'll
Same.
just leave it at that. Right, there's a
Yep.
reason I
Same.
don't do it.
Same.
Yeah. So you were talking about that community, right? So, how do you keep your community engaged? Because that's going to be critical for a nonprofit.
So, we've come up with some ideas that we want to do. Obviously Slack is how we all communicate and that's how we're all keeping in touch. And that's how the work gets done, right? We communicate completely through Slack. We do a bunch of giveaways with our partners and our vendors, which I think are important. Trend, perfect example. They sent me, 6 testers, and we're going to start doing like really nice giveaways with Trend.
Oh,
And I
nice.
think that engagement partnered with those partners and doing good programs with them is how we're keeping the community involved, engaged. It's also it's very important to us that we start going out west because we're all on the Northeast corridor, right? Northeast corridor. So many of our members have been in the Northeast, and we've done these projects in the Northeast for the last couple years. Our guys on the West Coast want a piece of this too. So instead of them flying to us, we want to go to them. So we're trying to plan our next TechFest to be Midwest. We want to go that direction because we want the Midwest to know about us too. Like, we're probably not as well known in the Midwest as we are in the Northeast. And that's something that we want, because we could find that one technician that is just looking for a community like ours that's never heard of us because we've never been there. So we need to get there, and that's critical. So we're working on that. We're looking at doing. We've got this really cool idea that we're bouncing around. Pierce and myself, we're actually talking about doing it, where we're just going to fly to Seattle and do like you do. We're going to host a happy hour, and we're obviously going to publicize it, but we're going to go to Seattle and host a happy hour, and whoever shows up becomes a part of the community. We want to do the same things in like New Mexico and Kansas City, places like that where we don't have this big presence, and we want people to know that this community exists and that we're here to help, and we're here to elevate a community and elevate an industry. And I think we're doing just that.
The key to success to those meetups like that is advance notice.
Yep.
And do more than one post.
Yep.
Because I do those as I travel around as well. You watch a podcast, you'll see me. Hey, I'm going to be in such and such this week. Sometimes I get 5 people show up. Sometimes I get 20 people show up. Just everyone's a little different because I make sure that I do them in such a time where I don't have to drive for 2 hours after an event to go to the next town to do my.
It's tough.
It is tough. People don't realize all the stuff that goes into it. So let's talk a little bit about fundraising, right? Because that's going to be critical. Because I know I think you just put out a message in the Slack channel saying that I think that you gave away like $250,000 worth of stuff this year for and when I say stuff, I'm talking about in your missions and stuff like that, not necessarily back to the community, but somebody become back to the community, right?
Yeah.
How do you do fundraising? Because that obviously costs money.
Yeah. So Teknowledge Worldwide, ever since we started, has given out over $250,000 worth of technology to communities. The best thing that I think we've done from a fundraising standpoint is we brought Gina DeMarco in. And Gina DeMarco, you see her in Slack. She is, and she'll kill me for saying this, but she's a professional fundraiser. At the end of the day, her background is in development. And she has raised millions of dollars for, the communities that she has worked for. So we're leveraging, her knowledge and her capability to help this community grow. One of the first things that we did was we subscribed to a service called Donor Perfect, which is the platform that we use to be able to receive those funds. So, let's say Chuck Bowser donates $10 to Teknowledge Worldwide through that website. You're automatically sent a letter from our organization and a taxable donation letter that states, Chuck Bowser donated $10 to Teknowledge Worldwide. Here's your receipt. Here's your write-off. You can, obviously write off. We're a 501c3. Any donation is dollar for dollar taxable, or not taxable. It's a, it's a tax write-off at the end of the day. The same goes for all the things that we've raised for these projects. If you donated equipment, all of that information is put into the same database. So that at the end of the year, you're going to get that, that donation slip. We've also, so that was big. That way we could collect money and keep it legal. The other things that we do is like, we've been doing these giveaways. They're very sporadic. We don't do a lot of them because we never want to feel like we're a money grab community, because we're not. But like perfect example is, one of these testers that Trend sent me, they said, this is earmarked for fundraising. So what we do is we put that tool out there and we say, any donation to TKW, whether it's $1, whether it's $100, gets you an entry into winning this tester. We are going to do the same thing for our pack out, that $1,200 pack out that we have with all the tools in it. That is going to be another way that we raise funds. So any donation that is made, you get entered to win this pack out. So that's how we're raising funds. And obviously we've got really generous people in the community. And I don't mean our partners. Our partners are amazing, but we have really generous members in our community that just have stroked us checks to help pay for all of this.
Mm-hmm.
And those people, some of them want to remain anonymous, but some of them, we try to thank as publicly as we can, but nobody wants the credit. Everybody is just like, we love the mission. We love what you're doing. Here's some money. Go do it. Keep doing the things that you're doing. And it's humbling. Like, humbling is the word I use the most.
Mm-hmm.
It's humbling to be a part of this community.
There are 3 or 4 low voltage communities out there, and I think yours is the only one that's a legal, not-for-profit organization. Am I not correct?
It's the only one that we're aware of because we did a lot of research, and it was important to us to be that 501c3 because, one, it's really hard to get,
Right.
and it's even harder to keep. So we need to make sure that we're doing all of the right things and have all the right documentation and all the right paperwork, and that we're actually doing what we say we're going to do as a community in order to keep that. And that's my job is the president of TKW. My only job is keep us legal and keep us running, keep us motivated. So
looking ahead, you already said you're looking at TechFest next year, somewhere maybe in the Midwest. Have you started thinking about the location and the recipient of Thanksgiving for next year yet?
No, we have not. So we, thanks to our tax, we actually have a schedule, which is really nice. We're going to start asking members of our community to submit their nominations for who will get it next. And the way that process is going to look is we're going to have a form that people will fill out, tell us where and why and what the need is. And we're going to make a decision with the tax, basically stating, these are, the 20 submissions that we've got. Let's look at all these, see what the biggest and best need is. And then we're going to pick it and we're just going to go do it. So it could be in Seattle. It could be in Florida. It could be anywhere in the continental United States. I don't think we're allowed to do any work in Canada, although people keep asking us to.
Then you start getting into a whole bunch of international laws and Canada laws. And you think getting a nonprofit's hard. Try going across the border. Oh my Lord. I did that once. I teach up there every once in a while. And I go across with my big black Pelican cases because I don't do Milwaukee packouts.
Boo. It's okay. Not everybody's perfect, Chuck. It's okay. It's all good.
No, I didn't say I don't have Milwaukee packouts. I just said I don't travel with my Milwaukee packouts. There you go. I'll let you read into that
fair.
what you want to read into.
No, it's fair. I got you. Just easy.
But when I go across the border with those big black Pelican cases, I either get flagged because they either think I'm, there to do work and steal work away from a Canadian, or they think I'm bringing guns into the country because that's what a lot of law enforcement travel with their guns. So I get flagged either way,
Yep.
And you have to, when you cross, what people don't know is when you cross the border, you have to list every item that's in that box, country of origin, and whether you're there to sales, demo, training. I mean, it's not just crossing the border like you are for vacation. It's a lot more involved.
It really is.
More involved. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So Thanksgiving, you haven't selected that yet, and are you thinking adding any new events than the normal 2, or?
I think the informal meetups, so to speak. We always like to do projects, right? Like we always want these meetups to be, hey, we're going to do this quick project, or, hey, we're going to do this. But we keep mulling over this idea of just going to a city, kind of like you do, and just let people know, host a dinner, host a happy hour. One of the things that I'm really thinking about doing, and we've been talking with the community and nobody steal my idea, but what I want to do is I want to start picking members of our community that are new. So Carcatech, for example, he's out in California. I want to get on a plane and go do a job with Carcatech.
Oh, that'd be cool.
and bring some guys with me. So, or, if a Chuck Bowser's got a project going on in Florida or, Massachusetts, wherever it may be, I want to get on a plane and just go do a project with them and document the whole thing, film the whole thing. I think that's a great way to engage our members and show them that we care. But it's also a great way to get to know those guys that can't come to every event, right?
Right. Well, here's an idea. Here's a thought. Because you're talking about maybe doing local meetups across the country, and you're talking about you and maybe Pierce flying out there to do that.
Yep.
Why not tag and identify? And I don't, although I know the TKW community, I don't know them well enough to say Bob works in Phoenix, Arizona, right? I try to stay agnostic as much as I can across all the platforms. So I'm just going to use fake names. So let's say you have a TKW named Bob in Phoenix. Why not task Bob? Say, hey, Bob, come up with a place for us to do a local meetup. Have him start reaching out to his local community, and then you guys reach out to the Slack community, and that way, and then you and Pierce or whoever go there and bam. That way you're getting it from both fronts.
I like that idea. That's brilliant. We'll steal that. I mean, borrow that. I mean,
it's all yours. That. No, it's all yours. It's all yours because unfortunately, I think I just learned this right before vacation that my travel next year is cut back even more next year. So I don't know how many meetups I'll be doing next year, if any. So unless I can get the podcast making more money and I can have the podcast fly me to go do something, but I can't do it the way I was doing before. So if a listener wants to get involved in the community or support the community, how can they do that? How can they find you guys?
So they can just go to Teknowledge, TEKNOWLEDGE.org, and there is a join button. All you got to do is click that button, fill out a form. It's like 6 questions, and it's mostly so that we can, communicate with you and get you into our Slack platform. It's not a click funnel. It's literally, we just want your email address so that we can get you into our Slack community. And that way you can start engaging with us and working with us. And we actually use the information you give us. I'm sure you saw, we actually have a map of all of our members that you can click on and you can see where all of our people are. So
I feel so stupid. I'm almost ashamed to admit this.
What's that?
So I told you I went to Austin, right, to do that POE thing. And so I get on the Slack group and say, hey, I'm going to be in Austin. Any local people?
Yep.
And I think it was Trish. She says, map. I'm like, what?
Yep.
Map?
Yeah.
Whoops. Yeah, I didn't know that. Oops.
Yeah, no, but it's a great feature, right? So any new member, we take their information if they allow us, and we put it on the map so that people can say, hey, I'm doing this job in Kansas City, or I'm doing this job in Austin, or hey, I'm going to be in Austin. Who's around? You can literally just click on the map and see who's there. And it's a great tool for everybody in the community.
Absolutely.
It's cool.
Ray, thank you for everything that you and Pierce and Brandon do for the community. Developing
Marco, don't forget Marco.
Marco, yes. And developing a community that I think sets the standard for a lot of other communities. A lot of other communities, they are in their infancy stages. And I think you were doing it right. And I think they can learn by doing what you do. I really do. So I appreciate everything that you guys do for this industry. I really do.
No, I appreciate that. And I want to give a shout out because I didn't mention her name earlier and I feel terrible. But I'm sure you saw, we brought Trisha Dixon on as our VP of operations very recently, actually. And she's always been doing the job, but she is wrangling us and making us better. So I think some of those challenges that we had before as growing a community, I think are going to be resolved having her at the helm with us. So, it's awesome.
Isn't that how the business world is? You do the work of the new position before you're actually given that position.
It is.
Goes in and it's just the way our business operates sometimes. But I think you just announced that right at Thanksgiving or right at the end of Thanksgiving or something.
Yeah, it was right at the end.
Yeah, that's what I thought. I thought someone heard it. So
yeah, right. It's great, man. And just having her around is keeping us organized, and it's allowing us to do so much more. So I'm humbled.
So if you're looking to connect to a community that can help you grow knowledge-wise and peer-wise, look up Teknowledge Worldwide, because they are setting the stand for everybody else to live up to. Until next time, knowledge is power.
That's it for this episode of today's podcast. We hope you were able to learn something. Make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on future content. Also, leave a rating so we can help even more people learn about telecommunications. Until next time, be safe.